The very first story, government says it has managed to save some $300,000 after renegotiating the $9 million contract for the supply of bulletproof vehicles for the presidency. Information Minister Mustafa Hamid, who announced this at a news conference in Accra on Tuesday, revealed government also decided to opt for a lesser number of the high-value vehicles in return for 100 saloon cars to be used by the police. Tuesday's news conference comes a day after a Joy News report about the arrival of the vehicles in Ghana, originally ordered by the John Mahama-led administration with just a few days for it to exit office. Joseph Akable has more.
The previous administration, led by former President John Mahama, is said to have ordered a supply of the 43 specialized vehicles worth $9 million barely 4 days to the handing over of power. Spokespersons in the then Akufo-Addo transition team expressed reservations about the move, questioning why an outgoing government would commit state resources without consulting the incoming administration and vowed to scrutinize the contract. It, however, appears the scrutiny did not yield much, as government has since taken delivery of some of the vehicles. Information Minister Mustafa Hamid explains, instead, government decided to renegotiate the contract to the benefit of the state.
I hereby report to you today and to the Ghanaian people that government has accepted the VIP fleet of vehicles, having come to this conclusion. 1, that government is bound by the terms of the contract signed with Amalgamated Securities Limited. 2, that abrogating the contract may incur significant liabilities for government. In doing so, government has, however, made sure to obtain maximum gain for the public purse and also for securing the security of the state. The government of President Mahama ordered 43 VIP fleet of vehicles at a cost of $9.1 million United States dollars. We have renegotiated the terms of this contract in the following manner. 1, we have reduced the number of vehicles ordered from 43 to 34, which is 9 short of the original number.
He also revealed 100 vehicles for the police service have been acquired.
In place of the 9, we have acquired 100 Toyota Corolla cars for use by the police service, in line with our commitment to retool the Ghana Police Service to enable them play effectively their role of protecting the Ghanaian people. We have done all this with a total amount of $8.8 million United States dollars.
The vehicles for the police service expected in the country within 6 weeks.
Now, this week, the Joy News agenda is focusing on the challenges and struggles of the Ghana Police Service. In the wake of the killing of police officers in the line of duty, Joy News' Maxwell Agbagba has been interacting with an anonymous police officer on the struggles of the service from his perspective.
Actually, they expect the IGP and his people to come out and tell you that these are my challenges.
We agreed to muffle the voice of the police officer I have decided to call Mensah. Like his colleagues, he says there are numerous challenges within the police service. Mensah is wearing a black singlet with the logo of the Ghana Police Service embossed on it. He shares his experiences about the many challenges police officers encounter. He says police officers sometimes contribute money in order to buy fuel for police patrol vehicles.
One occasion, the police have a big challenge. You see, when it comes to fuel, mobility, it's so huge that sometimes if personnel would want to tell you the truth, you weep. You weep. For occasions, I mean, sometimes we have to even put our money in our own pocket to pay for fuel, to buy them, I mean. But they don't know how to say it, because if they say it and somebody else who is supposed to give them fuel didn't give them, the person didn't give them the fuel, But the person will still take them on for not giving them fuel. So somehow, if the information gets out that the Kwabenya example, the Kwabenya police said they don't have fuel, then somebody up there whose duty is to give them the fuel, but didn't give them, still takes them on.
Mensah is worried about the uneven distribution of logistics for the Ghana Police Service. He thinks a chunk of the resources are kept in Accra.
The resources is even small. How are we distributing it fairly? Looks like we are in a police service that the concentration is always in Accra. Kumasi, Takoradi.
The man who is passionate about the well-being of his colleagues in the Ghana Police Service says there are times they are compelled to go without protective gears like bulletproof vests.
But if the police officers were to be well protected, we wouldn't have experienced the kind of death we are receiving. We are experiencing in this country on many occasions. On many occasions, sometimes when the bullets are flying, you have to take cover. When I say cover, it's you have to. You see, people talk about bulletproof. They are always in limited supply. Okay, sometimes restricted to some specific units. Forgetting that crime is not restricted to specific units.
Mensah says accommodation for officers is also a major challenge.
The situation, especially in Accra, is bad. Very bad. We have this concept that we want to go the out barrel system. We want to move out from the barrels and live in the communities. Good concept, good idea. I mean, you don't go to Europe these days or America these days and see police officers, but are the conditions there the same as the conditions we have here? Give him the money.
The recent killing of a police officer at Kwabenya has brought to the fore issues about the safety of police officers. Although majority of them have all been tight-lipped about their challenges, some of them say this is the time to talk. Maxwell Ababa, Joy News.
Incidentally, the Inspector General of Police, David Asante Pietu, has given the strongest indication the welfare of his men will be at the center of a police transformation agenda to make the service a world-class one and respond to modern, sophisticated crimes. Police accommodation and accoutrement will be critical to the new paradigm, which will also lay emphasis on the use of ICT. The IGP was speaking at the launch of the Ghana Police Services Transformation Agenda in Accra.
The focus on the officer on the ground. We believe that the transformation agenda will be successful only when the officer on the ground is doing his best. So, he needs to be taken care of as far as his career development is concerned. The safety gear also comes to issue. Is he properly attired so that he can go out there confidently? Protective gears, vehicles, weapons, helicopters, boats for Marine Department. Plans are far advanced, and we hope that very soon we're going to get what we require for the officer on the ground. Already we've procured, or we received 8 drones from our strategic partners. And this is to improve the efficiency of our operations in the regions. The career development. There are times that people pass out, either from the basic training or the cadet officers college, and they do not go for any other career development training over a very long period of time. This, we are putting structures in place to ensure that officers do receive training whilst they are in the service. Already about 20,000 housing units scheme to accommodate our officers are far advanced. We've passed through all the necessary bottlenecks, and we're sure to have this thing come to pass. And then a comprehensive package for our officers who get injured whilst in the law enforcement duty or die in line of duty. And this, I know, very soon will be announced.
You're watching Joy News Prime. We're taking a break, but still ahead in the bulletin. UNICEF provides 4,000 boxes of life-saving nutritional snacks, enough to feed malnourished infants in 5 regions for 6 months. Government has, however, been advised to make funds available to buy its own supplies going forward.
In June, if there is no other supply in the system, we will get this type of reports again.
Parliament clears Trade Ministry and officials of the Millennium Excellence Foundation of wrongdoing in the Cash for Seeds saga.
The committee, after the hearings and analysis and evaluation of the evidence adduced before it, has come to a conclusion that there is no merit in the allegations leveled against the Ministry of Trade and Industry.
The minority has, however, rejected the report, describing it as a cover-up.
If you see the minority dissociate ourselves from it, it is because we are convinced beyond shadow of doubt that the ends of justice are not being served, and we will not be part of a gargantuan cover-up.
All that and more coming up in the bulletin. Stay tuned. A 5-member committee established by the Speaker has cleared the Trade Ministry and officials of the Millennium Excellence Foundation of any wrongdoing in the Cash for Seeds scandal. The report of the committee, which has been adopted by the House, concluded there was no evidence to back claims of extortion leveled by the Minority Chief Whip, Mohamed Muntaka Mubarak and Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa. There is more in this report.
The 146-page report was presented before the House Tuesday amid protest by the minority. The minority finally boycotted proceedings, pointing out that the procedure for debate on the report was not followed. The minority leader said MPs only received copies of the report Tuesday morning and cannot be expected to study the voluminous 146 pages within minutes. The House degenerated into heckling until the Speaker intervened and asked for the minority leader to be heard.
It's only fair and proper that Parliament members receive copies only this morning. So why the rush? Why the rush? Why are you in a hurry? I hope Mr. Speaker, 146-page report. In the interest of transparency and accountability, this matter cannot be railroaded. This matter cannot be railroaded through Parliament. And I'm sorry, Mr. Speaker, that if the chairman wants to proceed, he knows our position. Mr. Speaker, 146 pages. As I'm talking, Mr. Speaker, I'm reconciling it, and many members will need to do a reconciliation.
The 5-member committee was set up by Parliament to probe whether or not expatriate businessmen were forced to pay monies to sit close to President Akufo-Addo at the Expatriates Award program last year, organized by the Millennium Excellence Foundation. Chairman of the committee, Akwesi Ameyaw-Kyereme, in his report said, after hearing and evaluating the evidence before them, they came to the conclusion that there was no merit in the allegations leveled by the 2 MPs.
The committee, after the hearings and analysis and evaluation of the evidence adduced before it, has come to a conclusion that there is no merit in the allegations leveled against the Ministry of Trade and Industry, as contained in the motion and which culminated in the setting up of the special committee.
Speaker who contributed to the debate, including the Trades Minister Alan Kyerematen, the Majority Leader Osei Mensah Bonsu, described as total waste of time and resources the probe into the scandal.
Parliament was going to be summoned exactly 2 days, 2 sitting days before the record of Parliament. What indeed was the sense in this enterprise? The Speaker, it is one of the reasons why we said that this indeed was an abuse of the processes of this House. There was no compelling reason that justified such a record.
Delivering his ruling on the matter, the Speaker, Professor Mike Oquaye, directed the Privileges Committee to further investigate all the issues, including the alleged fictitious documents that came before the committee.
This is a very serious matter in view of all that took place. I direct that all documents tendered and the committee be referred to the Privileges Committee.
In a related development, lawyer for the Millennium Excellence Foundation, Charles Wens, says his client is exploring the option of legal action against the MPs that brought the issue before Parliament. Speaking to the media after Parliament had cleared his client of any wrongdoing in the cash for seats scandal, Mr. Wens described as disgraceful the lack of evidence during the probe by proponents of the allegation.
The minority in Parliament, meanwhile, have described as laughable and gargantuan cover-up the report on the controversial cash for seats saga. Minority Leader Haruna Iddrisu says his side of the House is dissociating itself from the report because it failed to, among other things, capture recommendations made by the Comptroller and Accountant General when he appeared before the committee. The majority went further to argue the Comptroller and Accountant General also failed to make available to the committee bank accounts of the Ministry and Millennium Excellence Foundation, making it practically impossible to reconcile transactions between the Trade Ministry and the Millennium Excellence Foundation. The minority leader addressed a news conference by the minority after boycotting proceedings on the floor Tuesday afternoon.
Go to the Hansard the day we were recalled back, not for purpose of swearing in any person for the purpose, but where as Parliament, when we started this particular session, in my own opening remark, I was emphatic on it. So, ladies and gentlemen of the media, if you see the minority dissociate ourselves from it, it is because we are convinced beyond shadow of doubt that the ends of justice are not being served, and we will not be part of a gargantuan cover-up.
A member of the 5-member committee that probed the allegation, Dr. Dominic Ayeni, said he was tricked by the chairman of the committee to drop what could have been a deal breaker.
In my meeting with the chairman, I thought that if that issue was going to be a deal breaker, and it threatened to be a deal breaker, it should be dropped. And I was under the impression that if the issue of gross misrepresentation or fraud were dropped, then they would have taken the rest of our report and integrated it into the report that has been laid before Parliament. I think with the benefit of hindsight, I was mistaken. And as I said, I regret that I dropped it because I could have addressed it in light of the evidence that was led.
The minority would, however, not pursue the matter in court, saying President Akufo-Addo's pronouncement in the controversy is an indication the administration and the majority in Parliament have their minds made up, and not even the facts as presented by the minority would get them to arrive at a different conclusion.
Now, as indicated earlier, lawyers for the Millennium Excellence Foundation, Charles Duenis, says his client is exploring the option of legal action against the MPs that brought the issue before Parliament. Speaking to the media after Parliament declared his client of any wrongdoing in the cash for seats saga, Mr. Duenis described as disgraceful the lack of evidence during the probe by proponents of the allegation.
Led by its chairman, for the dutiful and diligent approach by which it discharged its work to arrive at an accurate and an entirely truthful set of findings. which have effectively debunked and discredited those imaginative, mischievous stories and assigned them to the proverbial heap for good. And finally, despite the untruths now having been laid to rest, and though much gladdened by its exoneration, my clients have found that this acquittal has come at a heavy cost to its hitherto unsullied and unquestionable reputation. This is not to mention the heavy cost that these false allegations have caused the country also to suffer in terms of the commitment of foreigners to making of foreign direct investments, market confidence, and the image of the leadership of the Republic of Ghana on the international platform. After steadily building up its reputation of integrity by sheer dint of hard work through the hosting of events that recognize persons from within Ghana's civic society and from the African continent at large, and awarding such worthy persons for the sterling contributions that they have made to all those areas of.
Now, one person was shot at Bomso in a raid on some shops by armed robbers in the Ashanti region capital, Kumasi, on Tuesday. The robbers on motorbikes are said to have made away with an undisclosed amount of money and recharge cards. Love News' Erastus Asare-Donko reports, apart from Bomso, mobile money vendors on the Anlonga New Road and Anlonga Town were also attacked.
The attacks were swift and bold. At Bomso, the armed man on a black motorbike with a pistol walked over to this mobile money joint, shot through the metal container, hitting the young man in there. The gunshot sent people running helter-skelter. Minutes after that, more attacks were recorded. This mobile money joint at Anlonga New Road suffered another attack.
Basically, I was here with my sister, and then all of a sudden, one guy came. They wanted to make a transaction with my sister. So, as my sister was attending to the guy, another guy also came with a motorbike. He was a dark motor, wearing dark top with a helmet. And the guy came, was like, I was sitting here. I was just here. The guy came and he was standing here. Whilst I was inside with my sister. The guy was like, bring the money. My sister asked him, there's no money. And he said, bring the bag over there. Then she handed over the bag to him. He opened the bag. Before then, when he mentioned bring the bag, he put out a bullet, running shot here. You can see, as you can see the hole. This is the hole over here. He put. I was sitting right here. I was even like it. I've gotten my leg. Then my son handed over the bag to him. Now, having given him the bag, he now set the bag and took out what he wanted. He took out a polythene bag, pink color, with containing the money in the bag, and then he took it away. So when he got there, another guy tried to stop him, the taxi driver. Then he showed up the gun to the guy again. Then the guy went back for me to move away. He went to another stop and then also robbed there. So I followed up with my bike after he had left about 3 minutes later. I got him there. He parked his bike. I robbed another mobile money lady over there. Then I told the guys to come around. Nobody minded me. And then the guy came out and then he left.
From this area, eyewitnesses say they saw the same person move to this mobile money joint within Anlonga Town, where he robbed these ladies. About 30 minutes later, police apprehended one of them. A mob besieged the Ofori Krom police station, demanding justice.
Okay, me na Michelle restore more. I want man about man be catch say obi ba ba catch me say me pie na me to store na me pie ba na me ma de kro. Ti na me imagine me say town council for. Ti na mu ya ne say man ne pie free o ma yi mo mo money for store ni. I kuta tu no timoto so. And we are so that fast one of. But me no do me me no cry to me na me suru na me far down on. What na not say? Me no wait to no share helmet and I don't share sunglasses and me need to use crown.
Reporting for Joy News, Erastus Asare-Donko, Kumasi.
Up next, we bring you business, and in business news, as the President delivers a State of the Nation address to Parliament on Thursday, energy stakeholders expect him to give a clear direction on the issue of power tariffs and to outline the way forward for the downstream sector. We have all that and more coming up in the bulletin session.
Hello again, good evening to you. Welcome to Business. Now, as the President delivers his State of the Nation address to Parliament on Thursday, one area of priority to many people will be the petroleum sector. Both the upstream and downstream sectors have recorded some significant activities for which stakeholders will expect the President to highlight. The principal researcher of the Institute of Energy Security, Richmond Roxon, shared some expectations via Skype on the marketplace.
We'll talk about a number of happenings in the energy sector in 2017 and also project or talk about the plans that they have for 2018 and also in the future. Like I mentioned, I expect him to look at the gains that government made in 2017. I'm sure the government is going to mention the additional capacity that has been added when it comes to the power sector and the plans to reduce the cost of electricity tariffs in the country. Already proposals have been sent to the Public Utility Regulations Commission to be able to give some relief to non-residential customers. I also expect that in the next few weeks when we are having the FPSO shutting down, definitely the President will mention it and assure the people of Ghana that we're not going to have any dooms or any load shedding. In the petroleum sector, I expect the President to talk about the refinery, the Samaria refinery, and the vision for the refinery, because in 2017, the refinery has shut down or virtually did not refine any crude. Already there are plans to expand and also build a new refinery with a capacity of about 150,000. I expect the President to talk about that one as well. I expect the President to talk about the Volta River Authority. Last year, there were some indications that some thermal assets were going to be sold. Is that plan still on hold? Is it on hold, or we are still going to see that plan coming into fusion? So that is also a key area that the President will address. I expect that the President will talk about upstream. That we have last year we won the case against Cote d'Ivoire, and that we have other investors coming on board. Definitely, what it means is that our oil production is going to see a rise. We're going to find more companies coming there as well. So all in all, I expect the President to tackle the power sector, the petroleum sector, and also renewable energy. It's a very critical sector that over the years has been abandoned.
Now, the Institute of Fiscal Studies, IFS, is asking government to reintroduce the petroleum hedging program to cover imports and exports of crude oil. According to the institute, the insurance cover would not only save the country from losing billions in revenue, but also cushion consumers against price hikes. The call by the IFS comes as oil marketing firms increase prices at the pumps despite the introduction of the stabilization levy by government. Executive Director of the IFS, Professor Newman Kusi, says a holistic hedging policy would do more effective in mitigating the impact of volatile crude oil prices on the economy and consumers as well.
The call by the Institute for Fiscal Studies follows a recent Reuters report indicating Ghana will likely hedge its oil imports under a new risk management strategy to curtail debts as global crude prices recover. Some local stakeholders have advocated hedging to protect government revenue and cushion price hikes. Hedging is basically an insurance cover that protects against price volatilities on the international market. Addressing the press at his office in Accra, Executive Director of the Institute, Professor Newman Kusi, welcomed the move.
Currently, Ghana produces nearly 200,000 barrels of crude oil per day, and Ghana's share has risen recently to nearly 20% of this total output, which the country sells on the international market. Ghana, however, is a net crude oil importer, except last year when oil exports exceeded its imports. Without an oil hedging program, the country stands to lose huge foreign exchange earnings from exports when oil price drops on the world market. In the same way, when oil price increases, the country suffers through increases in its oil import bill. Both scenarios are obviously undesirable and can be mitigated by an effective hedging program to ensure stability in the country's fiscal management.
Ghana in March 2010 implemented the commodity risk management policy to check volatility. However, the hedging program was abandoned in 2013. Although government says it would not rush to reintroduce it, the IFS says a holistic hedging policy would be more effective in mitigating the impact of volatile crude oil prices on the economy and consumers as well.
Ghana's previous experience with hedging points to one key lesson, and that is, with a well-designed hedging program, it is possible to protect the country against volatilities in commodity prices through the call and the put option. In fact, since 2015, the IFS has strongly advocated for the need for Ghana to reintroduce the petroleum hedging program to cover both imports and exports to save the country from losing millions of foreign exchange earnings and also provide stability to the national budget.
The IFS's call comes as oil marketing firms increase prices at the pumps despite the introduction of the stabilization levy by government. Ghana is a net importer of oil and averagely imports more oil than it exports.
Away from that, the cocoa processing company CPC, in collaboration with the Trade Ministry, is to establish a cocoa manufacturing company to process raw cocoa for local consumption. Ebenezer Sabote has more in this report.
The decision by the cocoa processing company to establish the subsidiary to be used as an entity to process raw cocoa beans for the farms into finished products for the Ghanaian market. This has become necessary due to restriction on CPC to produce for the local market following its status as a free zones company. Addressing shareholders at the Facts Behind the Figures series by the Ghana Stock Exchange, Managing Director of CPC, Nana Ajidin Boate, noted this will ensure that Ghanaians purchase chocolate products at a lower price.
We are producing, but because of the price, people are not buying. And that's why we've taken that step to look at a formation of a subsidiary on its own, so that it is different, registered, and that when you have that local sale, that one you conform to the local import tax, and that comes around to the 20%. So it means that even granted for purpose of discussion, it is 300 cedis round, and you are doing 59.22%. What it means that an additional 177 cedis has added on to the 477. If you get it at 20%, it rather turns up to 360. So the difference between the 360 and 477 is that whole gene of 117 on a carton. So invariably, it's like you are even 1 CD already on that you have saved, and that will reduce it. And so long as you reduce it, and you are talking about the benefits and the health benefits, everybody then will patronize and to open up to all class of people.
He disclosed that all the major shareholders, Cocoa Board, the Social Security and National Insurance Trust, SNET, and the government has given its support to the initiative and will comment soon.
Immediately, we've written to Cocoa Board because for now, Cocoa Board is the 57%. We are yet to have that board. So with that level, they and SNET is what we've talked to. So that by the time we formed the board, we would have had that first go, and then it rose from there, so that they only rectify at the main board.
And what has been the reaction of the ministry when you wrote this subsidiary?
They are all in support. In fact, the minister has made the PID officials to come, and they're even looking at how, in total of that whole thing, as to Cocoa Board looking at our restructuring and everything together. So there's something that they've reacted positively, that we have to meet, all of us, Senate, Cocoa Board, government, as to how best, because the government is all for it for the processing because of the prices.
CPC has also raised a €3 million guarantee from Prudential Bank to be used as a working capital for its operations.
Governor of the Bank of Ghana, Dr. Ernest Addison, has indicated that current development in the economy warrants introduction of the Depositors Insurance Scheme. The governor said this when he gave a keynote address at the Graphic Business Stanbic Bank Breakfast Series in Accra this morning. Meanwhile, President of the Ghana Bankers Association, Hassan Andani, in an interview with Joy Business later on, assured that cost of insurance for depositors' funds will be borne by the various commercial banks. This means the proposed insurance on depositors' funds at the banks will have no effect on cost of doing business with these banks.
actually going to be operating by. It's not going to be dependent on your internal costs. It's going to be dependent on market-determined interest rates, your policy rate, your interbank rate, and T-bill rate. That's actually where the base will come from. Then the devil is in the detail, which is a risk premium. So the risk premium might then, look at various levels of recovery of some of the costs that we have.
You believe that this will encourage people to buy into this whole depositors insurance, because there are some who are a little bit apprehensive?
Look here, it is the interesting thing is that it's not the ordinary depositor who is supposed to buy in, but it's the member institutions who are supposed to take the deposit insurance. You see what I'm saying? So it's not the multiplicity of depositors going to buy in. No, it is us, the financial institutions that take deposits, who are supposed to go and insure. So as for the depositor, it's just to create a risk awareness.
That's all in business for tonight. For more business news, you can log on to myjoyonline.com/business. My name is Emmanuel Abuaji Viafi. There's more news ahead. Good evening.
Welcome back to Joy News Prime. Now, UNICEF Ghana has released 4,000 boxes of the life-saving nutritional sack Pumpy Nuts for distribution to malnourished infants in some parts of the country. The consignment, according to its nutrition specialist Lillian Selenge, will be enough to last until June, and urged government to allocate resources to purchase its own stock of the snack for the rest of the year. The 4,000 boxes released, according to Ms. Selenge, cost some $200,000, explaining that with about $1 million, government could buy enough to go around for a year. The gesture comes just a day after Joy News reported an acute shortage of the snack in the Nanumba district of the northern region, even though it turns out UNICEF has had its stock for at least a month. I asked Ms. Selenge if UNICEF Ghana knowingly held on to the stock despite being aware of the acute shortage. You'll hear her response in a bit. I started off the interview asking her about their intervention.
The good news is that UNICEF was able to mobilize some resources to buy approximately 4,000 cartons of ready-to-use therapeutic food, and it has been already sent to the northern regions, and we believe that the Ghana Health Service is now distributing to the various districts so that the needed children can be supported.
Do you have word if the Nanumba district, whose story we told on Monday, has received supplies yet?
We don't know yet. We will follow up during the week to check if the supplies will be received by Nanumba district.
Right. So this intervention is really timely, especially because of the situation in the Nanumba district. But what is your understanding of the situation in other parts of the country?
Okay. The issue of severe acute malnutrition, because this RUTF is for treatment of severe acute malnutrition. And this problem occurs in the 3 northern regions. They have the highest rates, but it also occurs in all the 10 regions, basically. So it's a national issue. So we estimate that around between 1% to 2% of children under 5 years are suffering from severe forms of malnutrition. And so that, translates to between 50 and 100,000 cases in a year. So it's a lot of children if you consider the condition in which the pictures that you were showing are in. 50,000, 100,000 is a lot of children.
Now, we know that the situation is quite dire in the Nanumba district. What I'm trying to find out is whether you know of any other districts in the country that find themselves in a similar situation.
Yes, there are some districts in central region, eastern region also. They do have severe forms of malnutrition. The support that we have been providing to the government of Ghana was focusing on the most deprived regions. So there were 5 regions. We were not providing in the other 5 regions. So, but we knew that this was a problem, is a national problem. And that is why the approach of UNICEF was not just providing IUTF to treat these children, but also to work with the government to put in place mechanisms like the National Nutrition Policy, the strategic plan, to make sure that they have included the issue of severe malnutrition. And then now we are engaging with the government to include the ready-to-use therapeutic foods as part of the list of essential health commodities, which are used to supply the health facilities.
So there are about 4,000 boxes, you say, that you are making available?
Yes.
The 4,000 boxes, how far can it go, considering the demand?
Yes, so it depends on how they use it, but roughly we would estimate that roughly it would take maximum 6 months. I think that in the next, like by June, if there is no other supply in the system, we will get this type of reports again.
So we are likely to come back to this situation if nothing is done about it. What should be done? What would you suggest is done about it?
The most important effort is, if it is possible, for the government to allocate some resources to begin to buy the IUTF. There's a company that is making IUTF locally. They can source it through various means. They can import, depending on the cost.
Now, the 4,000 boxes that you're supplying, how much did it cost you, or what's the value?
The value is roughly $200,000, including everything, transportation and everything.
When did this shortage in the Nanumba district come to your attention?
We learned about the shortage, not specifically in Nanumba, but there were no specific names of districts, but we learned about the shortage in the last 3 months of last year. We started getting reports that, they've run out.
And what have you sought to do about it, or what have you been wanting to do about it since you heard about it, you first heard about it?
Oh, we have been discussing with Ghana Health Service to see if anything can be done. So it's not something that they can address overnight. We understand that, but it is something that we would continue to advocate to the government, so that there has to be an assured allocation every year.
How long have you had these 4,000 boxes that are being distributed now?
They just arrived, and then we dispatched them.
They arrived today, Tuesday?
No, they were in Accra in December, but the problem was the bridge up north was not accessible, so most transporters could not take on the load.
And did you inform government about it, because they could have provided?
Not necessarily UNICEF, but Ghana Health Service. I think it was mentioned by the Director General that since they started experiencing the shortage, they were moving supplies from one place to the other. They may not get enough of what they want, but they were mopping from places where they have plenty and to places where they need some plumping it.
Since you said you had it in December and they have been mopping supplies from around the place, did you notify the Ghana Health Service that you had some stocks that they could come for?
Yes, we notified Ghana Health Service.
And they didn't do anything about Because on Monday, the Director General of the Ghana Health Service spoke on radio and said he was going about, or they were going to have a meeting to try and mop up. But if they knew that there was some at UNICEF, they could have just come for it to transport, since transportation was your challenge.
No, the issue was not just us not being able to transport. Even Ghana Health Service, they would not have been able to pass through, because I understand that the two major roads, the bridges were under repair at the same time. So I know there was a team which was going to Tamale at that time, and they could not go. They came back because the roads were not passable. So it was a national issue of transportation.
Yeah, but I'm saying that in the same vein you say that the Ghana Health Service has been mopping up and redistributing the supplies. But if they knew that you had stock sitting there, they would have mobilized those ones and distributed as well.
It's possible.
Is it that they didn't know?
They knew. They may not have had resources to be able to transport, because transportation is also another issue. To hire the vehicles to transport, it's loads of cartons, 4,000 cartons to transport. You need to have the resources. So the arrangement was that we were going to take it to the north, and then they would distribute from the regional warehouse to the various districts. And we were in constant conversation with them.
Because it sounds very, quite a coincidence that yesterday the story came out that there was a shortage of plum peanuts, and today UNICEF comes to the rescue.
It's a coincidence.
All right, thank you very much. The circulation of sexually explicit and pornographic videos on social media appears to have gained currency in recent times, to the extent that members of parliament have asked for something to be done about it. Safer Internet Day presents a perfect opportunity for the issue to be looked at and maybe perpetrators punished according to law. It turns out, however, the police say they are handicapped in a way because of loopholes in the law. Mohammed Mahama has more.
Speaking at an event to promote online safety for children, the head of the CID Cybercrime Unit, Dr. Herbert Yankson, argued that there was a gap in Ghanaian law that could be exploited by extorters in possession of sexually compromising footage.
I call you, hey, I have this nude picture of yours. If you don't give me this money, I'm going to publish it. Where you just threaten, I threaten, and you don't pay the money. I've put you, the only law that we are able to use currently is the Domestic Violence Act, which is the emotional abuse. And then even with the emotional abuse, the Domestic Violence Act, it says it is only applicable when it's domestic, blood, and then relationship. So in your case, I don't know you. How would this suffice? And that is why I'm saying this is a gap in our law that we need to fix.
Organized by J Initiative, a family advocacy NGO, the 2018 commemoration of Safer Internet Day is the fourth such celebration. Executive Director of J Initiative, Ms. Awo Amenya, hoped that the event would increase awareness for digital literacy and about the dangers children face on the internet and on social media.
We've done Safer Internet Day from 2015, from 1 region to 2 regions, then to 5 regions, and today it's 10 regions. We would wish that we could even take it a lot closer to people. So maybe if we're going to consider district-wide sessions, we would love to do so.
The event also empaneled prominent government administrators, tech policymakers, and educators discussing various cybersecurity issues facing the nation. Kenneth Ashigbe, Chief Executive of the Ghana Chamber of Telecommunications, also stressed the need for children to behave properly online and tasked educators to make technology education relevant for students.
The fact that you are online, you think you cannot be seen, so you throw away our culture. It is so important that we take our culture into consideration as we use technology. So the opportunities that you have today are the same opportunities everybody has. It's important for all of us to use this technology to be able to promote growth, to be able to take advantage of the global opportunities that are there so that we can go out and conquer the world. That is why it will be so important for us to look again at our curriculum to ensure that we're teaching our young ones the things that they need for tomorrow.
This year's Safer Internet Day is themed, Create, Connect, and Share Respect. A better internet starts with you, and was focused on promoting internet protection for children.
All forms of partying, dancing and funeral activities have been banned at Ahua after 6 p.m. as part of measures to sustain peace in the area. Police have also been tasked to clamp down on illicit drug peddlers and users. At a meeting Tuesday, leadership of the two groups also agreed to organize peace talks on February 18 to sensitize the youth on the need to maintain peace in their area.
DISEC met yesterday on these disturbances at Ahua. And after that, we decided to engage the people of Ahua as to how best we are going to resolve this issue. So we met this morning, and this is the outcome of the meeting. The issue that surrounds around this disturbances is not as a result of religious or tribal issues. It's just the boys and girls within Ahua that came about with this issue. So what we've recommended is the formation for a committee that will go into it and then to see to it that this situation will not come again. That the police should put their heads together and then make sure that the selling and the use of drugs is controlled at Ahua. They've also come out with a resolution to ban the use of Soroku. That's what they used to call it. The use of Soroku, so we don't use that. That after any funeral at Ahua, by 6 o'clock, all the funeral activities should cease. All funeral activities should cease. As soon as the chief mourner and his group leaves the Deba grounds or the funeral grounds, everything should cease. That all those who have involved themselves in this conflict should face the full rigors of the law. Nobody should entertain anything. So chiefs and others were asked not to involve themselves in this issue. They should allow the law to take its own course. And on the 18th of February, we are going to organize a peace program where we have all the Muslims, the Christians, and all the people who are together. We invite pastors, imams, politicians to come and talk to this at the gathering. In addition to that, we are also making a humble appeal to IGP to open a police station at Ahua. So, in short, these are the issues that we discussed at that meeting. And we know this roadmap will help us to solve the problem at Ahua. And the police, they are still on the ground. They are making sure this issue is controlled. And I think because we have all these people, apart from Ahua people, nobody can solve this issue for us. That's why we decided to involve the people of Ahua. And we are happy we were able to get quite a number of people from the Zongo side, 2 chiefs from the Asante side, some religious leaders, pastors, and a lot of people. There's all the assembly members were also there. So we want to assure our people that the place is cool, but still maintain the military presence to avoid unnecessary or anything that may happen to us. So, academic is progress. Academic work, yes, is in progress. We are protecting the place. We have police there. We are making sure that nobody will go there and attack them. So our academic work is going on.
Thank you very much.
The Deputy Minister of Health, Kingsley Abuaji Jedu, has charged hospital administrators to ensure high level of maintenance and service culture to help increase the lifespan of equipment. The Deputy Minister said this at the handing over ceremony of 70 anesthetic machines to health facilities as part of efforts to improve healthcare delivery across the country. My colleague Kwesi Parker Wilson has more in this report.
The MDG Accelerated Framework, since its inception, has committed funding and technical support to ensure it achieves its objectives to improve maternal and child health by meeting the MDG 4 and 5 targets. The program, through its development partners, EU and Danida, has provided 70 anesthetic machines to the Ministry of Health. The Deputy Health Minister, Dr. Kingsley Aboagye-Jedu, at a handing over ceremony of the machines to its implementing partners here in Accra, charged health officials to ensure high level of maintenance culture.
We know that Ghanaians, if you permit me to use the word, are sick of the disease of non-maintenance. You give these nice machines, they are very expensive machines. You give them to them today, if you don't take it in a year or two's time, you go and it is broken. The irony is that when they use it, they will take money, they will get revenue. Sure. But when the machine breaks down, you hardly find it being repaired.
The machines are expected to be distributed to specific health facilities across the country, lacking these basic equipment to improve its services. Deputy Director of the Ghana Health Service, Dr. Gloria Kwansasari, assured the minister of their commitment to effectively safeguard the machines for its purpose.
These were need-based. We requested for them, we needed them. They are supposed to be at specific areas where the need is, and they are already being deployed. Though we did not attain MDG 5 and 4, we made some good progress, and there is still room for improvement in the SDGs. We have to reach a global target. This time is not for developing countries only, for all of us, of 70 per 100,000 or less. And we are working very hard to do that.
CEO of Christian Health Association of Ghana, Peter Yeboah, indicated that the MAF program has helped in the reduction of maternal death.
For the Christian Health Association of Ghana, on record, ever since we enrolled in the MAF project, we've been able to reduce maternal deaths by 25%. So, Honorable Minister and friends, there are prospects and potentials of this MAF project. And we believe that if we collectively enroll in the MAF programs and projects, we would even move upwards to 50% or even zero tolerance for maternal deaths.
For Joy News, I am Kwesi Parker Wilson.
Now, when the mother desperately needs money to aid her child get the best medical care, she'll go all out to do that. That's the story of Vida, mother of 5, who has traveled all the way from Kumasi in the Ashanti region to Accra to find a pastor to help her raise funds up to the tune of 15,000 cedis to settle the cost of her 8-year-old son's surgery. The boy, who reportedly drank caustic soda, is unable to eat or drink unless he is fed through tubes. But the questionable acts of the pastor, using part of monies raised to offset his production costs, begs for more answers. And Odame has the rest of the story.
Pastor Nathan, as he identifies himself, claims to have been doing this for 2 years. He claims to have helped 31 children with similar medical conditions as Little Bright within the period. His organization, Elika Church of Christ Ost Foundation, champions this cause. He pitches camp at areas he knows he will get enough money, mounts a speaker, amplifier, bag for money collection, and chair for the patient who is in need of the money. Then he explains the condition of the patient to passers-by, and those who are touched by the plight mostly give generously. Pastor Nathan alleges that brother of former President Mahama, Ibrahim Mahama, last week paid the cost of an entire surgery of a girl without probing. So I requested for an interview on record to explain what his appeal for public support entailed, but he declined at the sight of the camera. He left the scene, promising to return soon, but over an hour later, he was nowhere to be found.
So you earlier saw me speaking to the pastor who was soliciting for money for Little Bright. He's Pastor Nathan, and unfortunately we've been here for almost an hour, and he told the mother of Bright that he's going to the washroom and he's not back. So we'll pitch camp and wait to see whether he will come when our cameras are off his working area. Other than that, we'll come back again to find out where he is. To get more information from him on this means he's using to solicit for funds, according to him, to cater for children who need help.
So we exited the scene, only to return to find Pastor Nathan hurriedly packing off his stuff. He asked me to follow him to his house at La Paz, a suburb of Accra, to pick the hospital documents for Bright as evidence.
I have to bring the doctor's report to make it very valid.
The crew obliged until the journey proved too far for comfort. I therefore engaged Bright and his mother, and she told me how she came into contact with Pastor Nathan.
2 years, no soda.
2 years ago, he drank caustic soda. So an immediate surgery was conducted on him at the Komfo-Anokye Teaching Hospital. But later on, the doctor then realized the surgery should have rather been done on his chest, and that would also cost an additional 15,000 Ghana cedis. Someone at Komfo-Anokye Teaching Hospital recommended this pastor to me, that he assists ailing children by soliciting funds for them. So we came to Accra to find him, and we've been here since last week Tuesday. So far, we have gotten 700 Ghana cedis, and I'll be here till I get the entire 15,000 cedis for my son's surgery.
For Little Bright, he gets tired just sitting and wants to get some rest.
I get tired. I want to be lying down instead of sitting. I can't swallow anything, not even saliva. I can only eat through the tubes. So my mommy blends everything for me. I want to be healed. Please, I need help.
With the concern of many that this act by Pastor Nathan may just be a conduit to rip off desperate parents, Bright's mother disagrees.
I hear Pastor Nat has been doing this with the same child, but this is my first time of encountering him.
Pastor Nathan, however, promised to come to the studios of Joy News for an interview to confirm his genuineness.
So why don't we go with you to Joy so that you see that we are actually from Joy? But we don't use Facebook. We don't use Facebook. Tell us here. So why don't you go with us? Like you said, we are proposing studio. Me, I don't have a problem. Yes. So let's go. I now get so let's go.
Okay. This was a response when I placed a call to him.
My senior pastor's car has developed a fault, so we are trying to fix it, after which you will know when we can come to your studios.
Meanwhile, a resident says she had witnessed some other patients come to thank Pastor Nathan for helping them raise money for surgery.
I see him bring different children here to solicit for money. This boy has been here for about a week now with his mother. I see the pastors act as a genuine gesture.
So until Pastor Nathan raises 15,000 cedis for Little Bright's surgery, he and his pregnant mother will continue to sit in the sun with exposed tubes, which are likely to get infected. From Santa Maria, my name is Hannah Odami for Joy News.
So there's something that's trending on the internet, and we want to share that with you. It's Alexa's ranking of top websites, and My Joy Online is somewhere in there. But let's get to see which websites are the most visited. So it says Alexa's ranking of top websites, rankings based on the number of visitors to each site and the number of pages viewed on each site per visit. So the number one, and this is for Ghana actually, so the number one is google.com, and then we go to YouTube. So for google.com, people spend like 7 minutes there. YouTube, 8 minutes. Google.com. Okay, so there's google.com.gh and then there's google.com. Google.com is 7 million as well. And then Ghana Web, the portal, they get, so people spend like 10 minutes there. And then they have, 7 pages. Facebook.com, 10 minutes, people spend 10 minutes there. So that's the number 5. It's ranked number 5. And then we have Yahoo number 6. And Afritrack, I'm not quite, Afritrack. And then we come to Jumia.com, where people buy stuff. It's a shopping, a merchandising website. Okay, so Ingen.com is also a news website. MyBet.com, GHPage.com, Wikipedia. Betway, okay, so Betway, MyBet.com, they're getting quite a number of visits. And TrackingClick.net, Xvideos, and that is a porn website, pornographic website.
Oh, really? And people spend 14 minutes.
14 minutes on
highest.
that website.
That's the highest I've seen.
That's the highest.
Wow.
Amongst all of them.
I never even knew about this. I don't even know this.
And then Poparts.net, and then My Joy Online is number 17. People spend 7 minutes there. And then the Pirate Bay, people go there to download movies and the rest. They are number 18, and number 19 hit cpm.com, and then doloton.com. So yeah, these are the rankings. Of course, it looks like when it comes to the news websites, we have Ghana Web, followed by yen.com, and then myjoyonline.com is number 3
and people
on the news website.
So
kudos to the team at My Joy Online. I'm sure they should be working to go to number 1.
And you forgot to talk about the Betway.com is 9 minutes.
Yeah, so Betway.com, they spend quite a bit of time there. MyBet.com and
do they make money there?
They do make a lot.
Of course, that's why they will be there for
and
9
this betting thing is catching on, seriously.
Yeah.
So we need to be mindful of our kids, because
very important.
They may get hooked on that.
Very important.